Yes, now I was going to come in now, and maybe just to explain to colleagues that one, we must be careful not to fall in the trap of the old binary divide between research, learning and teaching. We also say learning and teaching. So for example, my portfolio is, I'm not the DVC learning and teaching, I'm the DVC academic. So my portfolio spans everything, including staffing, including community engagement, for example, is a unit within my portfolio, besides the 7 faculties and the 5 directorates within. So I've got a very big portfolio. And why it worked for us is that we follow a research-led approach. So we don't have this divide between who's the most important, because oftentimes when you have a DVC teaching and learning, then you hear, oh, we're not as important as research and innovation. And we don't have that problem because of the fact that my portfolio is this big, and that faculties all understand that whatever is in the DVC academic plan that's linked to our IOP would then link to the faculty plans as well. And that is why we don't have the central unit working on their own, but they work with the faculties, and we wouldn't have been able to develop the Scholarship of Engagement for Societal Impact framework if we didn't work with the faculties and all the other support. That's the one point I want to make. So context matters. I would have been, I think we will be poorer for it if we have a separate DVC that's not connected to the academic project directly. And I think, and that is where you start, there's a potential rather, it depends on how you do it, for sitting in your corner with the people that you collaborate. And I'm not saying that is what happens at NMU with the 4th DVC, but in my experience, I've been doing this. Yeah, it's my 10th year. And I can tell you that CEU is as integral part as the faculties within and that was why it made it easier to get the buy-in of faculties. And that is why it became easier for faculties in their differentiation criteria for ad personam, for example, to have the 3rd category and reflect on for their faculty what would be the acceptable criteria to recognize excellence in not community engagement. I think I want to emphasize here, ours is broader because we're really seeking the integration of that, what some of us have spoken about community engagement almost as projects, but then fusing into the scholarly work of our colleagues. And therefore, if, for example, all that had to happen one year it was one of my earliest years, despite a good research portfolio, we didn't promote one of our scientists because the example was I'm teaching swimming, but the swimming had no connection with a scholarly endeavor. So that's not what we reward in promotion. That is, and we don't discourage the outreach, but that is not the scholarly work and the excellence that we would require. And since we follow a research-led approach, it's also research-led in relation to learning and teaching and how our research then infuses us. So someone mentioned, I think it was Angela, how we see it is that instead of 3 pillars, the SoE for SI is the nexus. It's this real thing of what are we good for? It's the nexus between, or rather the nexus in our academic project. And it's something that I recall a couple of years, I did something on the interconnectedness between what we would then see as community engagement, internationalization as well, and how do we infuse it into our entire academic project. And I think it's worked for us to get where we are here. That's why when we went to Senate, then Senate accepted our framework because we had very, very extensive extensive consultations across the board. And it does not only include the faculties, but also the support units, SDS, and other professional support units. So I thought that's an important point to make. Then, secondly, I sit on the USAF TLSG, and I've done a concept note a while ago, and USAF TLSG has appointed me to lead this in the country on their behalf. And this is the offer I want to make to all of you here today. And that is to form a consortium for the Scholarship of Engagement for Societal Impact. And a lot of the things that you mentioned, that you express your wish, such as a COP, such as developing a glossary, such as the principles, the best practice platform, what other models. In fact, Bruce mentioned, when he mentioned it, I thought it's like he knows where we are going. And one of the things that we have done already was to do a survey just to have a sense of where universities are at, which I've shared with the TLSG group. And the Scholarship of Engagement for Societal Impact is one of our three key priorities at the USAF Act. And we also said that, Ruby Ann, you're correct, that it does connect with the transformation part, but not only the transformation part. If we see this as a nexus to the academic project in the broader sense, then it and the definition of society includes, for example, the example that Angela gave about internally our students act as society or scholarly society. And if we then approach this from a scholarly and a research led perspective, it means that there's people development potential for practitioners. Jackie shared what she published. And then we make sure that there's a repository of the best practice guide, or working together in the COP to inform the CHE project, for example, around also a community of practice that they're setting up, so that we're coming at this at the multiple ways. We're not competing with each other, and that is why the last two afternoons have been so useful. And we would formally extend the invitation to all of you that are here for your universities, if you are interested to participate in the consortium. And I know that Mary Lucy is here from Missouri. Oh, and can we also share the concept note? USAF has accepted the concept note, and I'm supposed to give feedback again on the 31st. When we have our next learning and teaching, or teaching and learning strategy group, the USAF one, on the 31st of May. So you will be getting a formal invitation from us, taking this so that we can have more of these kind of engagements. We will extend it also to, I think it's SASIF, if I'm not mistaken, and then of course to other universities, because this is something that we are trying to build for our higher education sector and not as a competitive event. Then if you can share with all our participants, and especially our panelists as well, the concept note post our colloquium. I would really look forward to you reading what we have in mind, and maybe if Mary Lucy can, in the few minutes that we have, share with us how the USA consortium, SoE-SI Consortium works, and we can also then take a leaf from their book. And colleagues, you're quite welcome to post on the chat to indicate if you would be interested, and then to join the consortium, and then I'll make sure that you get that your university gets a formal invitation to join the consortium. And I look forward to the wonderful work that can take place also for practitioners to become scholars in this area, and to start even co-publishing across universities and across boundaries, also internationally. I'll be watching the chat, but I wonder, Mary Lucy, if you're still here. I see there's, yes, you commented there. Yes, there is an upcoming consortium meeting later this year. And Jackie, you are welcome. We will be on your doorstep. And the conference, Mary Lucy said, is open to non-members, including international. That's wonderful. And of course, we're hoping that this would also feed into the higher education conference later this year. Mary Lucy, you want to briefly say something about your consortium?
Yes. The Engaged Scholarship Consortium it was started, I think, about 2001. So it's gone through some of the growing pains. It's open in the US to private and public higher ed institutions. So over the years, it has formed partnerships. It's always had a conference. And it started in many ways similar to this effort, with several universities hosting a conference and then forming something. One of the things that's been great about the conference is, and I've been active in the conference a number of years, is that it's always been open to non-member institutions. So there have always been presenters from other countries, a number of participants from Canada, from just a whole variety. I mean, I've heard presentations from African countries, et cetera. And actually, several of our presentations at one point from the University of Missouri dealt with our partnership with UWC. And Priscilla and others joined us through, it wasn't Zoom then, it was something else. But over the years, ESC has also evolved and has awards, has leadership things that focus on emerging scholars, focus on, there's also kind of a networking group that formed in it that are people who are in non-tenure track faculty positions, but also in staff and supporting roles. And that's been a very robust group. The thing about the Engaged Scholarship Consortium that I've always appreciated too is the focus on bringing in, even for presentations at the conference, bringing in students and bringing in community partners as presenters. And really, it really does have that breadth that you were talking about, that integration that I really appreciated in your discussion at UWC, because I've worked on all aspects of engagement, and there are ways to integrate those and still really meet community needs and work with communities as partners, but also to really involve them. I think that's enough. I know you have access to some of the leadership and the information from the Engaged Scholarship Consortium. But I encourage you to really look at it, but don't lose sight of making sure it's very South Africa pertinent as you form your own consortium. Thank you. I've really enjoyed participating.
Thank you very much, Mary Lucy. And Cornell mentioned there, as I wrap up, Cornell mentioned there that she also found the USA Consortium, the Engaged Scholarship resources and webinars very valuable. Bruce has just joined us. So Bruce, I'm inviting you. You might have missed it. I'm leading the USAF, the TLSG, the SoE Consortium, and we would really like to invite you from NMU, you and Ruby Ann, and then we'll send a formal invitation to your DVC, who's also an alumnus of ours, by the way, Prof. Andre Keert, so that we can make sure that there's also the transformation connection in this. And we hope that you will join the consortium, Bruce, because
Prof, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, no, thank you. That was so intermittent. No, thank you so much. Yes, most definitely. We definitely interested in forming part of any community that will help us think more deeply about our practice around a number of things. And I think just one closing comment before I lose signal again is I think at Nelson Mandela University, we also recognize at the moment that perhaps the focus around this notion of community engagement might be too narrow to the present practices within our institution. So we've recently adopted an institutional stakeholder community engagement framework that serves as a guide to different faculties and entities making new propositions on how we should work. And I think the key distinction we make here is that we refer to, instead of community engagement, we're talking of stakeholder community engagement. And we've inserted a hyphen between stakeholder and community, because it's around the whole broader notion of the equalization of knowledge and the democratization of knowledge. So I think even as I'm listening to colleagues now, I'm also inspired by the similar vocabulary, but also the different philosophical underpinnings, which makes it such a richness for real, robust and critical discourse when we do get together in such a consortium. So definitely we'd be extremely excited to participate.
That is fantastic, and I think that would be the right kind of tone to end the last 2 days of really rich and deep discussions, and you know, I don't think in when we're talking about engaged scholarship, or whether we're talking about what you said now, stakeholder community / community engagement, whatever terms we were using, I think we all came from the big frame that it is really for what the university is good for, and how do we make a societal impact in various ways. And I, for one, I'm really looking forward to sending you the letters, formally inviting you, and if there are any other players that you think would be useful, we're going to follow Mary Lucy's their approach by making this open, and not only for our traditional university partners or university, and here this is where the sharing of learnings and the sharing of practices and even the sharing of the different philosophical underpinnings that inform the models, different models of the universities, that we had a snapshot of that for over the last 2 days. And I'm really looking forward to us then in a hybrid format. It would be nice to come to NMU, by the way, Bruce and Ruben, but in a hybrid format, engage with each other in preparation also for giving some input at the conference, higher education conference later. Ruby Ann is saying I'm always welcome. I will see you there shortly for something else. Thank you, colleagues. I'm going to hand you back to Anita to formally close for us. And I would just want to say thank you from my side to Priscilla and Cornell, Ridwan, the whole team for putting this up. It's by no means, it might be my last one as DVC academic, but it's by no means my last one as the person that was willing to lead this consortium, and I will be carrying on with this work with all of you beyond this portfolio, whatever the future holds. So over to you, Anita.